like a Hellcat. Like a Hellcat.
It's a little bit better. It is a stunner from Fabio Quagliarella. Coming in for Dzeko, who's in for Roma and scores.
Ciao ragazzi, and welcome to another edition of Serie Sitdown, World Football Index's podcast of Calcio. Told like it is, I'm Frank Crivello, and he's Richard Carmen. Ciao, Richard.
Ciao, Frank. How are we doing this evening or this afternoon? What time is it? We're doing a different time now.
This afternoon, yeah, we got a special. We're on at a special time.
Yeah.
I've got Juve jerseys in my background today. What is going on with me? I mean, my walls are crying. Don't do this to me is what they said. And I said I have to, because you know what? I try to be a gracious host. And we do have a guest this time around here. And let's bring him in straight away. He is the host of GJustjuve. He is Giuseppe Bognani. He's earning his first cap with the Serie Sit-Down. Ciao, Giuseppe, and welcome.
Thank you for having me. Hello to everyone. Super happy to have to be here, actually, because a few days ago you were in my car because I was listening to both of you, and now I'm in the car of someone else, maybe. So I'm really happy. Thank you.
Hopefully they're not watching the video while they're in the car. You know, that'd be a little
I
dangerous.
hope not.
Slightly distracting. Nice background. From Amhan's complimenting my background. So I appreciate it. You know, and you know, I'm very interested in adding more, either whether it's jerseys or whether it's logos, you know, to the wall and making this a Serie A. I mean, for several weeks, and a lot of it was celebrating Milan beating Inter in the derby, just loading the wall with just about every Milan shirt I have. But now, you know, you got Juve, we've got national team. We're gonna, you know, symbolic. We're just gonna put Milan in the background today as we talk about Juventus, who have
Like there? Background like there?
yeah, background like there with Richard with the Locatelli jersey worn when Locatelli scored on Juve. You didn't get the memo, so
I got Pirlo on. Come on.
you're gonna make Giuseppe look at that, right? So
Don't worry, my big head will block it.
I was polite enough to be neutral today. No shirt. I said, just the chair.
We'll take some tips from you there.
So we're going to be centered on Juventus, 9 consecutive Scudetti, going for a 10th in a row. We're going to have a good Q&A with Giuseppe talking about them and everything going around at the club. We will break down what happened with the Azzurri off to the semifinals of the Nations League and finish it all off with everybody's favorite contest. Who Won Calcio? Twitter just continues to sweep the world, you know, in terms of attention and in terms of, and you know, for a international break, we've got a decent collection of nominees this time. I mean, last time we were pretty weak, but you know, we'll get into that. So
yeah, absolutely.
But let's dive in by doing a little Q&A with Giuseppe, and we want to start off with you know, something that you vehemently disagreed with Richard and I on, and that is the situation surrounding Juventus and Napoli, where Juventus have been granted a 3-0 forfeit win. Everybody knows the story. Napoli went to appeal. The sporting judge not only upheld the 3-0 win, but docked Napoli a point. This has been a very contentious topic, you know, over the last several weeks. You know, the position we took has kind of been in line with everybody else in Serie A. Like, what the hell is going on here? Napoli appears to be trying to do safety first. There's, local government ordinances telling them not to travel. They have 2 that are positive. They might have had more. They don't want to try to risk infecting Juve. And, that seems to be the consensus. Why is Napoli being punished for this? But, Giuseppe, floor's yours. Let's start with this very topic and give the Juventus point of view and perspective. And, if we're wrong, we're wrong. And we've been wrong before.
Please tell us, why are we wrong?
I'm not wrong that often, but when I am, I'll admit it. So
Yeah, I was listening to you guys, and I said you are wrong. You are wrong. And but I will start quite easy with a fundamental of mine. I'm not speaking in the name of all the Juventini today. I'm speaking about Giuseppe, and what I believe it's true, because I don't work for Juve, so I cannot guarantee anything. It's what I did in terms of research and so on. But my big principle is I want to play games. I don't want to win with a 3-0 on the table or thing like that. I don't care. I prefer, especially because it was one game before the international break. So I really wanted to see the first beautiful big game of Juve versus Napoli. Before going into international break and waiting 2 weeks to see the team play, going back on the field. So, and when you miss a game like that, it's a pity for football, for calcio, for the reputation of all of us. And I'm speaking about Inter, Juve, Milan, for all the teams, because it's calcio that is suffering of those kind of situation. It's a pity. So that being said, speaking about the sportive part, I believe that Napoli at that time, even without the 3 players, because Insigne was injured, but then you had Zielinski and Elmas that were tested positive. I believe they were in a good position to do a beautiful result in the home of Juve. That's what I really believe in a sportive kind of way. Why? Because they trained with Gattuso since more than a year now. They are used to him. Gattuso is a trainer with grinta. They know what to expect from the trainer, and the trainer knows what to expect from them. So I don't know, because a game you never know. We drew versus Crotone, for example. So you never know. Calcio is calcio. You don't know the result, whatever players are playing. Look at what happened versus Lazio. Last second, you draw. So you don't know. But I believe that Napoli could have a lot of chances to do a beautiful result, maybe winning in Torino. But if you speak really about what happened in terms of situation, there is one thing that is quite suspicious and strange. It's the fact that De Laurentiis texted and messages Agnelli before traveling, before being actually stopped by ASL, texting him and asking him if they could postpone the game. While Agnelli answered, and he said it in front of the microphones of Sky, he said, I'm Juventus. I'm a third party in here. I can't postpone. I will be present on the field. Okay. Arrogant or not, I leave that, but those are the words. Then, actually, why did all this happen? Because when you have cases that are positive, you have to create a bubble of isolation where your players there. And Napoli didn't do that, because you see pictures of Mertens going to a restaurant outside of his home. You see a lot of players out of home posting pictures, social media. They were training all together, while you are not actually allowed to do that, because a few days before they all went for one rule. That means that if you have 13 players available to play, you have to travel. You have to present yourself. If you have positive cases, you have to isolate them. You have to isolate them in a bubble. If you have more, you have to isolate all the team. If Napoli traveled that day, and I want to say hello to Colin for sure, but if Napoli traveled that day and they went to Torino and they would have been proven that Napoli had more contagious people than Zielinski and Elmas, and that they had contaminated Juve player, Napoli could have risked even the Serie B. And this is a big, big problem. This is a big problem because De Laurentiis knew about it, that the case could have been bigger than just losing one game or maybe having a -1, because if they travel without having taken care of the situation of creating a bubble of isolation of the players, and then Ronaldo, for example, he was tested positive because he went to Portugal, but we don't know how he get positive. Maybe it could have been due to a Napoli player, and that could have a lot and a big impact for Napoli, more than just -1 point and 3 points less. So what happened then, the day after, before leaving ASL, indeed they said you are not able to travel to, and then there was a lot of miscommunication, with Napoli never taking an official statement in the beginning. They just left it like that. Then there was like, okay, no, it's we were blocked. Then ASL said, no, it's not true. We didn't block you. We advised you not to travel. So there was even a miscommunication between Napoli and the local authorities. I believe that that situation is annoying, but actually De Laurentiis is happy what happened, because it could have a bigger negative impact for Napoli if the thing was proven that it was a drama, if they traveled to Torino. And that has never really been reported on the media. But the big proof, the big evidence is indeed the day before traveling and before the local authorities ASL story. Before that, De Laurentiis was already talking with Agnelli to ask if the game could have been postponed. And I don't believe it's just because of Zielinski and Elmas. I don't believe it's that. I don't believe that Napoli was fearing because at the end, they missed some players, but it is what it is for all the players. So this is what I believe.
Brings up some interesting points, Frank. And we had talked about previously about those texts between De Laurentiis and Agnelli. So we did talk about that, but some interesting stuff that I didn't know about. And to Giuseppe's point, the ASL, when they said that Napoli could not travel, from what I read, it was just they couldn't travel on that Saturday. So like they could have had chances before to leave early, but the point I like that he made was that if they did play the game and people got sick, it could have been a bigger thing. Kind of like Atalanta Valencia in the Champions League. Yeah. After the fact, they thought that maybe that was a reason that it got into Spain. Who knows? But it's some interesting points, Frank. I'm curious what your thoughts are.
Yeah, I mean, that's all available. But I like what Giuseppe said right off the bat. He wants the game to be played and he wants to win. My son is a Juventino. I don't know where I went wrong there. Sorry, Giuseppe. Sorry, guys, and sorry, Juve fans in the chat. And he said the same thing. He said, "Daddy, I don't want to win that way." So I appreciate that. And I think that could there be some. Yeah, could there have been some stuff here that it's like, hey, Juve really doesn't have to do anything in this situation. Okay, if there's rules are rules, right? Okay, and if they went by that and they told that's within their right to do. Okay, just as much as it's within the right of the opponent and then the rest of Serie to be outraged. I think the optics of this across Serie is amplified because it involves Juventus, and I think it's a deeper lying issue with the discontent that many Serie A fans have for them. And when you're the best and when you're winning every year, everyone's going to do that. Okay, people are going to have more discontent for you. That's just the nature of things. I mean, professional sports here, college basketball. I hated Duke with every ounce of my body just because I'm also a Kentucky fan. And the day I got confirmed Catholic was the day that Leitner hit that winning shot to beat Kentucky and go to the Final Four. I mean, it's things like that. Or and I hate the Patriots because as a Steeler fan, I was tired of watching Tom Brady beating us in the playoffs every year. I mean, it's the same thing. So when something happens that, it seems like, seems like shenanigans or seems like something stinks, it's going to be very, very easy for the non-Juve fan of Serie A fan to go to the conspiracy theories and go and play that card. So, I appreciate the explanation and I appreciate hearing some things. Now, I would have wished there to be some kind of a consensus to figure out where and when to play this game. That's where I fall on it. I'm not necessarily blaming Juve for taking the position that they have. I'm looking at it from the sporting perspective of I wish they played the game, because there's another thing that's getting factored in here, and I joked about this, and I think that this is where maybe Giuseppe, you took some exception to what I said. I said, where is Juve going to figure out when to reschedule this game with the fixture pileup that they have already, if they're going to try to go deep into Champions League. And I kind of quipped and I said, well, when do they ever go deep into Champions League? Just play it in May. But I'm busting chops here, Giuseppe. But, but I understand Agnelli's, approach. And but I also appreciate I can also appreciate how the casual Serie A fan can feel on this too. So,
but actually, as a team, as Juve, you could do nothing, because it was quite clear saying, we are a third party in this, because we are playing home, we are here. Then if Serie A decide that we have to play again, we play again. So Juventus never said, or Agnelli never said, we don't want to play. Right. They say, we are here today. If we have to play again, we will have to play. We will never go into appeal, because we don't have to. We are a third party affected by a decision between Napoli and the other thing. Then, for sure, and I believe Serie A, they needed to take a strong decision.
Yeah.
Because if you allow Napoli to postpone the game, Serie A or Calcio is crazy dead. Because then Genoa would have complained.
Yeah, where does it stop?
Parma, where does it stop, and when do you play? Like Juventus, the first game available to play was in January, before Inter, just right after a Champions League game. Then it started to be really tight, and actually the team that has nothing to see with the story, because it was involved without actually wanting to be involved, you are penalized. But look, it is what it is. And as you said, for me, I would have loved to play that game, even if I had to lose, because that's the beauty of football, winning or losing, but at least you play.
I think the reason why so many people, and like all of us, wanted to watch that game is because there's so many unknowns with Juventus, so many unknowns with Napoli. Both teams look like they were world beaters, and who's really going to be the better one. This is really their first challenges of the season, so we really see who's really good, who's not. But it is what it is. They'll play at some point this season. We're going to have another big game this weekend with Milan and Napoli. But Juventus, I think I agree with you with a lot of what you're saying, because a lot of the stuff I didn't know about. But I think at least from when we've been talking, I kind of said Juventus have been tied up because they've done what they're supposed to be doing, right? They follow protocol. It's really Serie A. We were mostly harping. I was mostly harping on Serie A, thinking Serie A is the one really should have been doing something more to be looking out for the safety of people. And then obviously we thought maybe Napoli shouldn't have lost the 3 points, but I mean it is what it is, and they all agreed to something before the season, like we've said. So it's hard to say, right? But we appreciate to hear your point of view, because we always see a broad perspective, and to really see what each side. We've had a Napoli fan on to talk about their side, so it's good to see the other perspective, to see, okay, what do we not hear from the Juventus side?
But that doesn't mean that I'm right. Huh?
Correct.
Again,
Sure.
I'm not working for Juve. I'm not working for Lega A. I'm just a supporter. I try to read, and luckily with the channel, I try to read as many papers and different opinions as possible, and that's what I reported. What doesn't mean I'm right. I pay attention.
C Power saying, actually most football fans in Italy support Juve all over the country. This negative perspective on Juve is amplified by the media. Oh, really? The media amplifies negative perspectives? Really? I had no idea. I had no idea. No, I agree with you 100% on that. Yeah, Richard's got the bourbon out. I've got a local IPA beer. So
Is that Fat Cow or whatever it's called?
No, it's not the Spotted Cow. This is Lakefront Brewery, Lakefront IPA. So
Okay.
ever since the pandemic, I've made it a point to buy my beer from local breweries. So in an effort to support them. So whenever possible, there's the occasional Coors Light in my fridge because my father-in-law likes that. I promise you, I don't drink that. So
sure.
When I want water, I'll drink Coors Light.
Right on.
Cracking for Mr. Bob Lex. Bob, did you have a bad day?
It's a day that ends in day.
Yep. Okay, let's get into on the pitch.
Yes.
All right, and first impressions of Andrea Pirlo as manager. A curious hire. Everybody's looking for that Pep Guardiola ever since, that happened in the mid to late 2000s with Barcelona. And it's very, very easy to try to connect that perception saying, okay, this is a guy that's from the club, loves the club. This is the appointment in the hopes that they're striking gold here. But your initial impressions on what you've seen from Pirlo as manager, and are you encouraged? Do you want to see more? What is missing so far from him, in the relative infancy as a manager?
But, in a short story, in a nutshell, Juventus is winning. But at a certain moment, Juventus had to do something more to have more cash revenue. I speak about liquidities because at a certain moment in Serie A, you have a roof. How do you grow when the roof you are there in the roof in Italy? You have to go globally. Probably they went a bit too fast. They had the opportunity to take Ronaldo, and that was a big opportunity because what better player as Ronaldo to go globally? They went like that, but unfortunately they had a trainer that was Allegri, and I speak unfortunately not in results because results are there, proven facts, but I speak about entertainment. Because Ronaldo, you have great things, but you also have consequences. The consequences is that you bring so many new supporters, and they expect immediately to see not only results, but also beautiful game. They don't care about the story of Juve. They want to be entertained. It's a show. With Allegri, we know that we win, but we don't entertain. 1-0, it's the best. It's the favorite score of Allegri. So that was actually the change. And then we took Sarri. I don't know if it's a A, B, C plan, but we took Sarri. Unfortunately, problems with the team, relationship problems more than vision or CV. So they had to stop because if the cultures are that different, you have to take a decision. And then they went for actually a new bet. But I trust Agnelli, president. Why? Because he's the one that have chosen Conte out of himself with a discussion in his house, and he went for Conte because Conte didn't have the experience he has today, for sure. He had just an Atalanta, a few games in Serie A. For the rest, it was the experience in Serie B. But he was attracted by the vision, the motivation, and the values of Conte, the winning values of Conte, and that's why he gave him a chance. Agnelli was also attracted by Allegri, because when they were out of an hotel with Marotta and Nedved, at a certain moment they saw Allegri out of that hotel, and Agnelli said he will be our future coach. I don't know when, but after Conte, he will be the future coach, and that's how Allegri came. So. Yes, Marotta have deal with him for sure, but the one that appointed him was already Agnelli. So I trust the president. The only one that he didn't choose was, in fact, Sarri, and we all know how it was. So I really believe, and also with my work in values, vision, commitment, passion, more than experience. Because if you look at Sarri, who has more experience than Sarri with all the CV that he has? He started from the bottom, he grew up. So I believe in those values. But if you speak about experience, Pirlo he had so many great coaches: Sacchi, Allegri, Conte, Ancelotti. If we speak about Milan, so a player like that, you live the locker room. It's not like a Jose Mourinho that never played football and had to grow as a trainer, being an assistant at Barcelona, because he never saw and he never left the locker room before. Pirlo, more experience than that, you don't know. So I was quite optimistic about Pirlo. He has a vision, he has clear ideas, and it should be an entertaining football.
Yes.
So I'm really confident about Pirlo. The only thing that I'm scared of is how long can he pair the trying to be beautiful and winning without winning? Because at Juve, that okay, it's all fun and nice, and we believe we will never sack a coach in the middle of the Serie A. We will wait until the end of the season, and I totally respect that. But at the end of the season, if you had no progress, if you have won 0 titles, you are out. You can be Sarri, Pirlo, Lippi, whoever you are. If the commitment is 10, winning the 10th in a row, and you fail, then you are out. So I hope that Pirlo can unlock really fast his idea, because what I'm positive of is all the players today, they speak really positive about Pirlo.
Yeah.
They all of them, Danilo, Arthur, McKennie, they say he has charisma, he has ideas. Even Cristiano Ronaldo said, believe in the work we are doing because it will pay off. So I believe, but the time is really limited, and we are lucky that Milan drew 2-2 versus Verona, that the other teams are not at full power yet, because Atalanta lost a few games, Inter is not at full speed. So at the end, we are only at -4. We have time. It's 38 games. We have 31 to go. So I'm quite confident about the team spirit, about the positivity, but this alone is not sufficient.
We saw a lot of that at the end of the season last year, where Juventus were stumbling. They weren't winning every game, but unfortunately, fortunately for them, everyone around them was doing the same thing. Nobody was progressing on them, and so they were able to get the title. And so my biggest thing with Pirlo coming into the season, because a lot of people were saying, "Oh, they're going to win another title," and Frank was one of them. Usually I would agree with that, but with a new man in there, an unproven man, as much as I love Pirlo, we don't know too much about him, and I thought it would take some time to get to where he needs to be for Juventus to be. And I think with the teams that are around him, they would be pulling away from him at the beginning before they get to where he wants them to be. That was my biggest fear, and that's why I had him at third place. But we've seen some nice, his ideas, obviously, everyone, like you said, they're talking great things about Pirlo. What we know of him as a player is he's fantastic, he's intelligent. And so I have hopes. I've seen glimpses there. I've seen what he's done with some of the players. He brought in specific players for his style of play, like McKennie and Arthur. Even Morata, we're seeing. At the beginning, we were down on him, but it looks like he's a freaking a star. So it's just been it'll take some time. But like you said, how long is that leash? Are they going to pull it too soon, where he's not going to get that chance, like we've seen with Milan with Inzaghi and Seedorf, or are they going to give him time and then hopefully the Juventus stay close enough to the top where he gets that chance?
You know what gives me confidence in a few words is that this year is for Juventus a year that will be impossible to repeat, because you have the chance to win the 10th.
Yeah.
Never again you will be a team, or I speak about Juventus, will have the chance again to win a 10th in a row. And Agnelli, more than the Champions League, he wants that 10th in a row. If he didn't have trust enough in Pirlo, he would never have appointed him.
Yeah.
On the other side, who could have been the trainer of Juventus if it was not for Pirlo? Who was available to train Juve realistically? Zidane didn't want to move from Real Madrid. Pep Guardiola is in his golden prison. Who had the pedigree? Pochettino, but Pochettino with 12, 13 million a season. He had also an average win of 46%. It's not a trainer that it's a great trainer. Absolutely, yes. But for me, the price is not matching his pedigree. It's too high. So who could have trained Juve? I don't know.
Yeah.
Juve wins these titles two different ways. They have seasons where they buy Pjanic and Higuain in the same summer, and at that point, we all make the decision that this thing is already over.
Yeah.
And we're weeks away from the season starting. Or they have seasons where they stumble, they drop points because of a lot of new players, a new manager, a new identity, and it takes time, but then they go on this run. For that reason, I picked Juve to win this title by anywhere from 8 to 10 points, because I think that there are I think a lot of these teams are really good that are sitting at and around the top of the table. I think there are a lot of imperfections with all of them. It just so happens that those imperfections are showing up very early in the season. So, if Juve are going to do this 10 in a row, what is going to be the single biggest reason why?
Why we would win the 10th this season?
Mm-hmm. Single biggest reason for you why Juve is going to make this 10 in a row. I think they're going to do it. I think when we get to the business end of the season, I think they're going to walk this. They're going to walk this thing by then. And I'm saying this with my favorite team in first. I'm keeping a reality, and I've said this in the past. I've said this on other podcasts. I said Milan's objective is still top 4. It just so happened whether they do 1, 2, 3, or 4, top 4 is the objective.
Yeah.
Juve's objective is win the title. But what's the single biggest thing that is going to carry Juve to a 10th title in a row?
Because there is no other killer in the Serie A. Otherwise, today we would have already teams with +7, +8 versus Juve. If you look at the past of Juve, except of one season where it was a drama, we were 15, 16 with so many points of difference. We were, 11th, I believe, at a certain moment after 6-7 games.
Yeah.
Even if we only won 3 games and 4 draws, we are still there with a lot of teams. And I believe now De Ligt is coming back.
Yep.
Alexandro, I'm not saying that Alexandro
is Ronaldo coming back this weekend?
Game. What?
Is Ronaldo coming back this weekend?
Yeah, sure. Ronaldo is there, is in top form. So you have all the players there. I believe that this is the reason why Juventus will win the 10th, because you still don't have a team that really can go 38th game in a row. Look, Lazio, I was sure Lazio was out of the game. Why? Because mentally, what they had last year, where they had so many hopes and they were near to win, but after lockdown, when they really had to play every 3 days, they couldn't. I believe that mentally they gave up. They gave up because they said, we had one chance and it's over. So I don't believe in Lazio anymore. Inter is you never know with Inter. You never know. Yeah. And I don't see the Conte that has the will and energy. Look, I was reading Gazzetta or Corriere dello Sport 2 days ago. They were saying they will buy him now, Milik and Paredes from PSG, to make Conte happy. But I'm sorry, for sure it's media, but making Conte happy. No, I'm sorry. At a certain moment, Conte is happy enough with all the players he had, Young, Lukaku, with all the Hakimi, all the players they bought for him. At a certain moment, he has to make Inter fans happy. You cannot only make Conte happy. And I think that can be a problem for Inter, because Conte and Marotta, they don't even speak to each other. Atalanta is a great team, but they can't be consistently on the 3 points. So I think that's the reason.
So I think you brought up the last 2 teams you brought up are perfect examples, because going into the season, those are my 2 quote unquote killers I thought could have had done. I had Inter first, and Atalanta second, Juve third, because I thought, Atalanta, they were killers last year, and I thought they were going to keep that momentum going. And this season, they've been far from it. Inter, they've just been a shit show. I'm sorry for the Interisti in the chat, but they've been a shit show, and not what we've expected. Usually in Conte's second season, they are much better. Can we say that this season? No, they've been very inconsistent. They've been dropping points like very unexpectedly, and those are the two teams I saw that had the potential to be the killers that you mentioned, and they're not doing it. Milan is still too young, and like Frank said, their Champions League is what they should be aiming for. So who else is there? Lazio, no. Roma, no. I mean, there's nobody else. So I mean, I agree with it. I can see that.
You know who? And I said it before we start. For me, Napoli has a chance to do a really beautiful thing. I don't know if they will win because
big test this weekend to see how good they are.
But teams. Napoli play good, well, and they have the chance that they didn't have in the past is they have a trainer that if they are in a positive Serie, if they are winning, he will keep them alert and he will not make the same mistake as Sarri did a few years ago when they were really near.
Here's why. Here's also what I like about Juve. Now, you guys talked about Inter not allowed to. Inter in 7 games have conceded 11 goals. Big problem when, Conte's a manager of drive and hard work and determination. And a lot that has to go with that is that you have to defend and you don't concede goals. It hasn't resonated and it hasn't connected. And part of it is playing Alexander Kolarov as part of a back three is a complete mess. I think they're going to finally come around to this and play Bastoni back there more, which could probably stop that bleeding. Atalanta defensively are all over the place. They have the talent to go out and score with anyone. But defensively, they're a mess. Romero has not totally worked out yet, although he made a key tackle on Lautaro the last time they played each other against Inter. Napoli, the redeeming thing for them is that keeping Koulibaly. We all went into this saying Koulibaly's gone and their defense isn't going to be the same. Well, now they've got some reasonable defending. They've got Osimhen, who suddenly looks the part of the striker that they needed, so that they could get it done. Here's where I see Juve running away with this thing. And I'll name the names. Weston McKennie, Arthur, Rodrigo Bentancur further developing, Aaron Ramsey. That is a better collection of midfielders than they have had since 2015. And let's be honest, they're not going to come close to what they had in 2015 with Andrea Pirlo, with Vidal, with Pogba, with with that group. But this is by far a better collection. It's stable. They functionally have a lot of things going where
you have Grinta too.
Well, yeah, you saw who's that?
You have Grinta with McKennie.
Yeah, Grinta, yeah. Where you saw a lot of Allegri trying to live and die by the combination of Pjanic and Khedira, for so many years, and it was just so easy to overrun. So I think that they can diffuse things, and then they can win so many different ways. They can go out and comfortably put 3 past somebody when you've got guys like Ronaldo, who at this stage in his career, he's not the take-on artist that he used to be, but he's prided himself on getting in positions and getting into dangerous positions to score goals. It's almost like a basketball player that early in his career could run at the hoop and dunk on everybody, and then later on in his career, he learned how to shoot 3-pointers. It's just about the same thing. It's Alvaro Morata who has exceeded my expectations. I did not like Morata in this setup. I loved the idea of Kulusevski and Ronaldo together, pulling everybody apart. But Morata has been a poacher, and he has been vital. I mean, they've got so many different ways they can beat you. So they can go out and score 3 comfortably past you, but they can also, because of the players that have been used to doing it for so many years, they could go and score a goal and say, that's good enough for us. Let's stay organized. Let's manage our way through it. And we call them resourceful Juve when they do that. And that I expected that's what they were going to do against Lazio. They did that against Lazio. They were unlucky to concede on the last kick of the game. So those are the 2 big reasons for me why I think Juve have this. And, Bob on the chat says squad depth too. They're still the deepest squad in Serie A. And when it's all said and done. So I mean they've got all of this going for it. Let me ask you about the new players. And some of the new signings. We've seen a lot of we've seen Weston McKennie be in an engine room. We've seen we've seen Arthur starting to fit in a little bit. Kulishevsky having a role. Who out of the new players, and Morata, obviously, let's set Morata aside. He's scoring a ton of goals. He's exceeding my expectations. He's exceeding a lot of people's expectations with what he'd be. But aside from Morata, give me a new player that has surprised you so far, that you said, I don't know about him, but he's been a pleasant surprise.
Well, to be honest, I was a bit like you. I was not a big fan of the return of Morata because emotionally, yes. But I always try to divide emotions by facts. I was not sure that Morata would have been the player he is now. Now, pay attention with Morata, because Morata is a player that is mentally weak. Suddenly, he can switch off, and today, he never really played with Ronaldo. He played a few games, but he was actually in the spotlight, and luckily for him, he started amazingly well. He's in a golden period. As long as he's doing that, he will perform and he will bang goal. If he's not able to score for 2-3 goals and he's doing like 2-3 underperforming performances, I don't know how he will react. Is he strong enough to overcome that moment? That's my biggest fear with Morata, and I hope I will not have any proof of it. But that's my biggest fear. Who I am really surprised with is for sure McKennie, because none of us knew him. None of us. You guys probably, yes. And luckily, Pirlo played in MLS and he knew the player, because it's really a request of Pirlo, McKennie, because he knew him from MLS. He already knew the player, and he had a request for him. Now, I went to see the stats of McKennie, Matuidi, and the one of Thomas Partey. And actually, if you look at stats, and I'm not speaking only about possession and the goals and so on, but really on defensive or pressure stats and so on, you see that actually Thomas Partey, who was a lot more expensive and also older, and you look at Schalke 04 last year, McKennie, they have more or less the same stats. But Juventus was able to take a player on loan for 3 million without any risk, known by the trainer. The first press conference of Pirlo, and that's why I'm super happy, is he said, I want our player to love having the ball, but I want also them to love taking the ball back. So big pressure, and that's the definition of McKennie. So it's really a player that is for him. My biggest fear is Arthur, because I was a big sponsor of Arthur. He has talent, but he was not chosen by Pirlo. He's keeping the ball too much. Speaking about the vision and the play of Pirlo. And Pirlo really wants him to play vertical, to play fast. So I was really happy now when he was in Brazil that he was speaking about Pirlo in a real positive way, saying that he has so many things to learn for him. So hopefully that can unlock. But it was not the choice of Pirlo. So hopefully it can work.
Yeah, one of the few players that I knew about that not many people knew about was Weston McKennie, because I like watching Schalke 04, and I knew him for a long time. So I actually met his mother. So anyway, that's not the point. I knew what kind of player he was going to bring. We did a video on our YouTube page about McKennie and what he could bring to Juventus, and it looks like it's starting to show. I mean, obviously there's the unknown. He's never played for a club the size of Juventus, right? This is a big time team that's challenging for the title every year. He hasn't been with that. So how would he react? Would he do well coming off the bench? And he's actually done really well. And I like what he brings to Juventus. I was excited to see Kulishevsky for sure, because we knew what he did last year at Parma, and the potential he had in the first game. With Ronaldo at his side. I mean, we're like, okay, this could be amazing for the season. And this is kind of why Frank and I were down on Morata, because we're like, what we saw from Ronaldo and Kulishevsky, that's brilliant. That's how Juve are going to get goals this year. And so when Morata came into the fold, we're like, what is this? But obviously that's working. Pirlo knows what he's doing. and it's interesting the way he tinkers the team, and not just the new players, but just the way he's moving things around. Frabotta, bringing him in, putting different positions, and putting players in the position to win. He's done some things that you're like, okay, wow, this could really work, and he needs some work to do. But some of these players he's picked up, I think, have pretty much all fit nicely. I mean, is there any player in particular that you think is not doing well? The new guys, at least.
For me, Bentancur is having a bad season, except of the last game where he played well. And Bentancur is one of my favorites ones. I was really hoping that this season was the Bentancur season. I was thinking about the new way of playing this season, and I saw Bentancur taking over the role of Pjanic.
Yep.
Now Pirlo changed everything. He's grabbed the role of Pjanic, so he had also some difficulties playing with two men in the middle, because now we play with a third offensive midfielder, when in the past you had a real regista. So that role doesn't exist. I was hoping him. I'm a bit disappointed in Bentancur at the moment, and then I saw it also. Adam was saying, when are we speaking about how bad Dybala is playing? Just if you give me 1 second, I want to answer a comment of Adam, because he asked me, how can you call yourself a real Juve fan if you don't call Inter merda? For me, because I saw that a lot of time, and I hear that merda thing so many on so many podcasts, and I respect everyone can call a team how they want. For me, Inter define themselves. They don't need that other word. Inter is enough. So why adding?
They don't need the merda endorsement from you.
They don't need. It's
implied.
Inter.
It's implied.
So
that's
why.
Adam, it's assumed. Okay.
But yeah, Dybala. Yeah, go on, and I will jump when you ask me the questions.
Go ahead. Let's talk about Paulo Dybala. I'm going to give a hot take here. I mean, I think with Ronaldo can still play, and he's still got some legs left in him here. You bring in Kulusevski, you have Morata, you bring in Federico Chiesa. I'm going to offer the hot take that Dybala's value is going to just continue to drop. And I, kind of agree with Adam's point here to an extent. It almost feels like that someone is going to have, if he goes, he's going to go for a bargain, because someone's going to look at Juve, and they're going to have the power, and they're going to have the leverage to say, I want Dybala, but I'm not spending what you think he's worth. You've got all these other guys, and you don't use him. Yeah. So talk about Dybala. Because he was very instrumental in them getting to the Champions League final 3 years ago. And all of a sudden there's, the arrival of Ronaldo's had quite a bit to do with this, but all of a sudden this drop off, or this perceived drop off with him, he seems to be surplus to requirements for Pirlo. What do you attribute this to?
Well, so some people hate me because I try to be objective on Dybala, and not since this season. But again, dividing emotional part of objective. Emotionally, I have spent two shirts with the name of Dybala, €140 for both. So if you spend that money, it means that you love the player. So emotionally, I love Dybala, and I hope that all the players that we have in the team, even Khedira and Bernardeschi, that tomorrow they come back and they score hat-tricks every game. That's, every fan of every club, want their player to perform, because then everyone is happy. But the problem with Dybala is I define it, he's a seconda punta, a second striker, in a world of 4-3-3. Mm-hmm. That's how I define him since really long. It's not new. He had problems with Allegri. He had problems with Sarri. He has problems with Pirlo now, let alone the physical form. I'm speaking really about tactical placement on the field. If you play him as right in a 4-3-3 on the right, he loves to be free, and he will go wherever he wants, and
Yeah.
he will start stepping on the feet of everyone. If you play him behind the strikers, because I saw a lot of people saying, yes, playing as a CAM behind Morata and Ronaldo. But the problem is that what Pirlo is expecting from that position, like Kulusevski or Ramsey, is to come back and be physical strong enough to give defensive support and be the guy who will be the first one to press.
And he ain't doing that.
Dybala can't. He can't.
He's not strong enough to do it.
Strong enough. So, and that's one of the problems also he had in the past with Pjanic. Pjanic is normally, when you see him at Roma, an offensive midfielder, and with Dybala playing in that hybrid position, having all that free space, he was stepping on the feet of Pjanic, and Pjanic was not able to come. Then Dybala, if you look at last season he was MVP of the season, but it's because humanity, people, they tend to think about the last 3 months. They don't evaluate a whole season, because if you look, he only scored 11 goals. In the beginning of the season, Dybala was on the bench because he was about to be sold to Tottenham, Manchester United, and whatever. But Dybala was on the bench in the beginning of the season. He was not happy. He lost his vice-captain armband because Bonucci came back. So, I love Dybala, immense player, big talent, big potential, but tactically, it is a problem. And more than tactically, it's also mental. Dybala is not a strong player. And I give you one example, and then I leave you the word because I'm talking too much. But the game versus Spezia, we are doing 1-1. Dybala is playing. He's playing really bad. And he's looking at the ground all the time. And then you have Ronaldo, he can't wait to play that game. You look at his eyes. He wants to win. He wants to enter. He enters. We are winning 2-1. 63rd minute. He is in the defense because there is a corner kick, and he's motivating all the team in a defensive phase. He's saying to the guys, be alert. We have to win. We can't concede a goal.
He's a leader.
And that's the difference. That's what we are waiting of Dybala. I can accept 10 games of low-performing Dybala. No problem with that, because you have to support the team. But what I want to see, especially for someone who is asking for 7.5 million to win 15 million a year, I want at least that fighting spirit fino alla fine. And that's what I miss.
Sure.
Yeah, I think... I agree with that 100%. But there are some things I'm going to disagree with you. But the one thing I'm going to say that for sure I agree with you on is that mentality that he does not have. And we've seen it where at home he's been brilliant for Juventus in the past. Then he goes on the road or a big game and he's just gone. He's not there. I thought, though, pre-Ronaldo, he was coming into his own. He was actually playing really well under Allegri. As soon as Ronaldo came there, he became second fiddle. And then really the mentality really starts showing how poor he was. And even now, we thought going into the season, you mentioned how, you thought Bentancur really could have taken this next step and really took over this team. Or at least I thought, Dybala could have done this, pulling the strings with Ronaldo there and feeding guys. And he hasn't done that. And like you said, it's tactically a little thing he can't adjust to the formations that, the managers are throwing at him, and specifically Pirlo in this case. So it's an odd case. And I wonder, is it really he in that bad of a shape, that bad form, or is it just the tactics don't match up? And sometimes we've seen where players and the tactics do not line up at all. They go somewhere else to a formation that suits them, and then they play fantastic. So which is it? Or is it a little bit of both?
But even Zamparini said he should go to Real Madrid or to La Liga, where you have a lot more spaces. Yeah. I think there he will be an amazing player. And even if in Serie A, because when he played, when he played with Allegri in a 3-5-2 in the beginning, when he was playing with Mandzukic, 22 goals in Serie A, amazing. But again, I was reading also Adam his comment. I'm not a fanboy, because today it's fanboy of Ronaldo, fanboy of Dybala. I'm a fanboy of Juventus, of my club, and all the players, they come, they go, but at the end, the club remains. And I try to be objective. I don't like to insult players. I'm not a fan of #out things. I don't like those kind of things, because you have to support. And I will support Dybala until he's there, because I want him to come back to smile. I want smiling people, but that that doesn't mean I can't be objective.
Yeah. It's almost like he's pressing because Ronaldo's there. And he's pressing because he's now gone from, there was a time where he was the man. And
him and Pjanic were the free kick takers, and then Ronaldo came in, they hit this take a step back, and they suffered dearly.
Right. And, and now ever since Ronaldo arrived, other players have arrived, the opportunities are much more limited. And, when he does get his opportunities, he's pressing a lot more. And when it doesn't go well, to your point, he's hanging his head and, and things like that. That's a very good take. Last question I have, Agnelli, and because you're an Agnelli fan, as you said at the very beginning of this, I've said some horrible things about him in the past. I'm not going to repeat them right now, but this fascination with a European Super League. What are your thoughts on it as a Juve supporter? Are you more traditional that you want to see the Italian game thrive? And how can there be I guess my question, and I'll ask the hard question here, how can there be a European Super League without the Italian game suffering?
No, if you do a Super League, you kill Serie A, you kill La Liga, you kill Liga, and all, you kill them.
Yeah,
that's a fact, and that would be a real pity because I'm also I'm 39, still in my 30s, but I grew up with Calcio, with Novantesimo Minuto, and seeing all those teams. So romantic and nostalgia. I would be sad. Now, at a certain moment, it's difficult as a Juve fan, and I'm speaking as a Juve fan, the perception you have is that, for sure, and it's a reality, you have the biggest fan base in Italy is Juve fan, but the biggest fan base is also anti-Juve. You are not Chievo that some like or not. No, you are Juve, or you love it or you hate it. And when you are always attacked day in, day out, right or wrong, because Juventus is not holy, they made their mistakes, and sometimes they are, sometimes you can say, okay, it's Juve, but when you are attacked day in, day out, and you'll see at Napoli and all the drama, and then it was with Lazio again, because all that drama again, and you see it over all the years. At a certain moment, I can understand that you want to go to the Super League. For sure, I'm a supporter, and also Milan and Inter, because probably those will be the three first one from Italy to join a Super League if it would be created. Yeah. We are happy, 50%. We are happy because our team will go to the Super League. But then if you look at Bologna, Sampdoria, Roma, Napoli, it's sad. It's sad. Mm-hmm. But I'm in favor of Superliga. I'm in favor of it because, it's hard. Serie A is hard living and seeing all the attacks on Juve. Sometimes you just want to say we stop it and we go on Super League. But
I mean, and Richard, I can honestly appreciate Giuseppe coming on here and saying that as a Juve fan, because and I've piled on Juve myself through the years, and I mean, when and it's, again, I'm going to go back to what I said very much earlier. When you're on top, everybody hates you. Okay. Sure. The other 19 clubs in this league absolutely hate your guts. I don't hate Juventus. I respect them. But at the same time, as a Juve fan, when you have to deal with that, I can certainly appreciate that sentiment that's saying, you know what? Fuck this. Let's just do a EuroLeague. Yeah. So, let's leave these guys in the dust. Let's show them how important we really are to them by leaving them behind and figuring out how they're gonna generate their revenues. Because, I mean, another point, when you do have fans, when you do have fans, when you go to the Marassi in Genoa and it's Genoa hosting Juve, it's packed because Juve's there.
Yeah.
All right. Or if you go to Parma, it's packed because Juve's there. All right. Sassuolo, it's packed because Juve's there. It's not going to be 12,000 fans or whatever. It's going to be double that.
Look at the prices. When the first year of Ronaldo, the prices in every away stadium were sky high. The day of Juve, when Juve was there, it's crazy. It's crazy. It's political. Agnelli, he doesn't care of being hated or loved. It's political, and not so long time ago, I think 1 month or 6 weeks ago, he was at Casa Milan with representative of Inter, Milan, and himself. They are speaking about it. They are saying, look, if we want to survive in this crazy world, we have to go big. And he is planning for it since years. It has never been a secret.
Yeah. He's a businessman. I'm not going to fault him for having that vision. Not at all.
Yeah.
Well, my last question is, we just talked about leaving people in the dust. And a very polarizing player for Juventus is Bernardeschi, right? When he plays with Juventus, he's not so great. When he plays with the Azzurri, he looks like a very special player. How do you take that as a Juventus fan? Because we've seen this before with other players like Rivaldo and some other players from other different countries. Miroslav Klose is another example too, right? He's been stellar with the Mannschaft, and then he joins whatever club team, and he doesn't do that great. So I'm not saying Bernardeschi is at that level where he's super with the Azzurri, but he's really good. We've seen with the last couple of games, makes an impact. How does that make you feel as a Juventus fan, seeing a player who has all this talent that you really have high hopes for, just not living up to the hype with your team?
Look like Immobile, Belotti, amazing players with their club. They go to the Azzurri and they fail. So Bernardeschi has the opposite sensation.
Yeah.
He goes to Azzurri, it's there, but it's again mentally. It's mentally, it's a mental thing where he doesn't feel the trust at Juventus. And without, Colin is learning Italian, so he's love to show the Italian words. But Bernardeschi, it's a confidence thing. He doesn't feel, there was a player at Juve. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I think it was Pereira. He came from Udinese. He played at Juve. He was not really good at Juve. And then he went in Premier League. Mm-hmm. A few years later, he was really honest because he's a talented player, really talented player. And then he said, I was not strong enough mentally for Juve. And he admitted it. And I believe that's the problem with Bernardeschi. He didn't feel the trust at a certain moment. And it's really hard because he knows when he enters, he knows that he will be judged. And every game is worse and worse and worse. But the guy, he has talent, but he doesn't feel the confidence. And I believe, but that's my own gossip thing, guys. I was in Valencia, the first game of Champions League of Ronaldo with Juve, when he had the red card. So I paid so many money in Valencia to see the first game of Ronaldo with you in Champions League. And you remember it was the day he took the hair off of someone.
I wondered if maybe because he's so into his hair that he was fascinated by his product. And it's like, what are you putting in this, man?
Oh my God.
I was shocked. But at that moment, you see a Bernardeschi that goes to him and say, you are the best, in Italian, say il migliore, blah, 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 defending him. And you really saw that connection, that love he had for Ronaldo. I think something happened between both of them because they don't even talk to each other. You never see pictures with them again and so on. While Bernardeschi gave him for his birthday a big exaggerated frame the first year. So I think something happened there where we will never know. But that he lost that connection or that love for Ronaldo, that partnership, and he feels a bit isolated. Can happen, huh? Can happen.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yep.
Wow.
Gossip, guys.
Yeah. I mean, excellent stuff. Excellent stuff, and a great conversation about the old lady of Italian football. You know, I mean, I still deep into this thing this season through the first 7 games, and going to be a team that is going to be very difficult for many to beat as these new players all start connecting. As Pirlo's plans come to effect, I mean, all of this is why I think they're going to win this title running away. You know, and you know, appreciate getting the Juve perspective, Giuseppe. It was very well done.
Again, I think it's really important. I repeat it every time. This is what I think as a Juve fan. But you know, there is the other Juve party that totally doesn't agree with me, that probably doesn't like me because I have other opinions. I'm a bit more corporate and I try to see the positives. Then there are a lot of people that are Juve fans equally to me. They are not better or worse, but they are saying that Agnelli sucks and blah, blah, blah. And, you know,
every team has it. Every team has it.
Every team has it.
It is what it is.
Don't worry. I got lots of Juve fans that don't like me. So it's
Milanese don't like us.
we got Milanese that don't like us. It's what it is. It's the good with the bad. All right. Well, let's jump in and talk about Italy's fortunes in the Nations League, and we'll start with that game against Poland, Richard.
Yeah. So the interesting game, a big game for the Azzurri. You know, a lot is on the line for these 2 games really that they're playing with. But you know, the lineup for the Azzurri in this one, Donnarumma obviously in goal. They went with a back 4 of Florenzi, Acerbi, Bastoni, and Emerson. Midfield of Barella, Jorginho, and Locatelli, no Verratti in this one. And then a front 3 of Bernardeschi, Belotti, and Insigne. And I'm not going to necessarily read the lineups for Poland, but you know, the main things from this one, in 27th minute there was a penalty. Penalty or not, you know, Belotti goes down in the box. Say what you will with the call, but Jorginho steps up, gets the goal in 27th minute.
Oh, Benerick thought he was playing American football.
He did. It wasn't the greatest play.
That was a
defender.
great American football tackle of Belotti.
Yeah, for sure. You would get a job with the NFL there. So
yeah.
So then the Sassuolo man, we have one in the starting lineup, obviously with Locatelli, but Domenico Berardi, he would jump in the 83rd minute, get a goal. There's like a 10-minute span there where we had a goal. We thought we had a goal from Insigne, and it was taken back. And but they, you know, the Azzurri would come back, get a goal. They win 2-0 against Poland. Big points for them, and they needed to win. I mean, they should have won that game. They did, but it's nice for them. Good confidence builder. You know, we saw in that game, you know, what's the name, Belotti getting a start, and we've seen the trend. You know, Giuseppe, you mentioned it, how Immobile and Belotti really have not shined with the national team, and especially Immobile. Belotti, we think he's the best. He's the more well-rounded player of the 2. He can really fit in different formations, but he's been the guy that's been chosen more by Mancini over Immobile, and so he's starting to get more confidence this game. And even though he didn't get any goals in this one, he was certainly around. What is your take about Belotti and how he's improving? He's not there yet where the Azzurri need him, but he's improving and at least taking the job away from Immobile.
Guys,
you're asking a Juve guy to speak about a Torino guy.
I know it's hard. I know it's hard.
I will be honest. I wanted Belotti at Juve this season. I would have no problem with him, not as a starter, but
I would take him in Milan once Ibra retires. That's so
yeah. No, he's great. He has great qualities. We can't deny that. But if we are honest and we are speaking about, you know, I don't know where you are born, guys, but you know, I'm born in Belgium, educated in a Sicilian way. So the first thing we love is La Nazionale. It's Italy. That's what we love. That's the first thing we see, because at the time, especially in the 80s, 90s, you didn't have the streamings like today with all the games of your club. You were seeing parts of the game. So you fell in love really with your national team, especially as a stranger in another country. And we lived with Vialli, with Giannini, with Totò Schillaci, Del Piero, Totti. Guys, those were strikers, Vieri, Inzaghi, And now we have Belotti or Immobile. La Nazionale is gaining again the supporters with performances. 22nd game without losing. Mancini is doing a great job, but we are missing a real number 9. And even if Belotti today is doing a bit better and he scored, and I'm really happy for him, but it's not Lewandowski, it's not Mbappe, and I believe we missed that.
Do you think Caputo could be that guy? Because he can play in a 4-3-3 and he seems to thrive. He's a goal scorer. He knows how to find the net. Do you think even though he's older, you think he could be, at least for this tournament, you think he could be the guy?
But we will have the Euro in a few months now. Yeah. Euro 21. It's not that old. Now, if you want to build a future,
Moiskin?
Caputo, probably not. But Nazionale, we don't care about the future. It's now. And we already worked on a 2 years project. Luckily, it became a 3-year nearly. So if Caputo is the man at that moment in May or in June, he needs to play for me. Keane, if Keane is informed, then Moise Keane needs to play. Whoever at that moment is informed, young or old, even if it's Quagliarella, I don't care.
Now, are we talking about informed in the league or informed with the Azzurri? Because it's two different things. We've seen Immobile been informed for years now. With the Azzurri, not so much. So, I think I agree to your point. They need to get the playing time and then catch on fire with the Azzurri to then let them play. If Belotti starts getting hot, let him stay with him. Look
at Luca Toni. In 2006, he was scoring like 30 goals with Bayern Munich. He went to La Nazionale. He scored 2 goals versus who did he score the 2 goals? I don't remember
either. Too long ago.
Okay, it was Zambrotta scored 1, and then it was 2 goals of Luca Toni, and that's it. In that tournament. So I believe it's also someone that is informed, but also who has confidence with La Nazionale. If you have a mental block, then it's difficult to be a starter for Italy.
Yeah, I mean, look
at Grifo is there. He scored. I didn't even know him. He comes from Bundesliga. I don't know if he will be a starter, if he has the potential, but if he feels confident, if he starts and if he goes, why not?
Yep.
Right. I think that I saw, in this particular game, if we don't talk about the Bosnia-Herzegovina game yet, we will talk about that. I saw improvement out of Belotti in this setup, in this game. I mean, he didn't score clearly, but I saw improvement, and I think that I went into this and we Richard and I previewed this last week, and we said, we're looking for a few things. We're looking for, can a 9 step up for Italy over these 2 games? And clearly, and Immobile is obviously was not with the team, but Alberigo Ivani, who I wish I could grow facial hair like him, let alone dress like him. So he's they decided, he and Mancini, obviously Mancini wasn't there because of COVID, decided, okay, this is we're going to run Belotti into the ground over these 2 games and see what he's got. And I think that he responded. I think that, is he scoring a ton of goals like Robert Lewandowski? No, but Robert Lewandowski is not scoring a ton of goals for Poland either. I mean, he was frozen out of this game. He was in the back pockets of Acerbi and Bastoni, and a lot of it is because the Poland lineup was just not set up to give him service. They didn't have Klich. He was suspended. Szymanski and Jozwiak are not guys that I'm scared of. Linetti's we know him from Serie A. He's a box-to-box engine room guy. He's not a trequartista like Poland had him situated. And when I look at this Poland lineup, I said, this should be comfortable for Italy.
Yeah. Szczesny played great, too. Szczesny played great. It could have been a bigger scoreline.
Szczesny was good. Yeah, no doubt about it. The other big question that I thought from a positional standpoint with Italy coming in was the fullbacks. And we'll talk about this a little bit with the Bosnia-Herzegovina game as well, but I think that Emerson Palmieri has made a huge case for being the left back for the Azzurri over these 2 games. A guy that can't get a game with Chelsea, but is going to get games with Italy, and that's fine with me. I mean, if Chelsea want to play Chilwell and let Palmieri stay fresh for the Euros next summer, perfectly fine with that. Another guy that, okay, maybe for the club he doesn't get it done, but for the country, when he puts on the shirt, it's a different story. We see players do that. Much like, and I'll bring up an old Juve reference to show you I know my history, Giuseppe. Angelo Di Livio couldn't get in the Juve team in the 90s, but was starting for Italy.
Yeah,
it was astonishing.
Yeah.
So, Il Soldatino, the little soldier, was a regular in those 90s Italy teams, but was, because of what Juve had in the 90s with Zidane, with Del Piero, with Boksic, with, the 96 team that won with Ravanelli, Vialli, and Del Piero up front, where do you put Di Livio? So there's that. And it's Palmieri's kind of in that same path right now. Maybe he doesn't get a game with Chelsea, but fine. Keep him fresh for Italy. That's fine with me. I'm not going to complain about it. I still think the right back situation needs to be answered. I'm not totally convinced by Florenzi, although his form's been good with his club, but that's Ligue 1. I mean, and it's easy to look good in that league when you've played in Serie A for such a long time.
I agree with that. No, Emerson Palmieri is not a bad player. Sarri wanted it at all costs to have him at Juve. Good player. You have also Spinazzola. The problem with Spinazzola, you cannot 100% count on him because it's a player, and I hope not. But tomorrow he can be injured. That's the big problem with Spinazzola. He can be out, and that can happen, so you need a backup. But if you have Spinazzola and Emerson, that's good. Great. That's really great. On the right, I saw a beautiful Florenzi. I'm happy. Who do we have else?
Maybe Di Lorenzo, maybe Calabria, but it's not as certain as the left back, I think. I agree with you on that. I agree with that.
I think that right back is still up for grabs. I thought Florenzi was okay. I don't want to endorse him just yet, but because I think that there's other options. But left back were a lot more scarce. Yeah. And I think Emerson over these two games stepped up and took it, and took the reins. I see Colin referencing Torricelli. Man, what a beast! That man in the night. You watch that '96 final. You can't possibly ignore him running up and down that right side. That win against Ajax. So, I remember that game. I remember him very vividly from that game. So, but yeah, I mean, those were the questions that I wanted to see get answered. Do we have a 9 ready to step up? Do we have fullbacks ready to step up? We're so deep at the center back positions. Usually you see Bonucci and Chiellini, but Acerbi and Bastoni being the next generation of center back, and at some point Romagnoli will get back in that mix when he stops.
Mancini as well.
People in the box and stuff like that, and Mancini. So center back we're fine, and obviously Donnarumma in goal. I mean,
where I didn't think we were going to see competition, and we may have competition, is in the midfield. So midfield, we thought it was Verratti, Jorginho, and Barella, and that's it. No one else is going to come close. Maybe Sensi is going to get in there, but what we've seen over the last 2 games, and really this season, we've been talking about how Locatelli is going to have a breakthrough year with the Azzurri. He's over these 2 games. He's been brilliant. I mean, he looks like he could be one of the top 3 guys in that midfield there. And it's now you give Mancini something to think about. He'd love to think about it because, hey, Locatelli in form or Verratti, you can make harder decisions or worse decisions, So it's been a nice surprise, that one, because I did not see that coming at all.
I think what he offers over Verratti, I think that Verratti is an unbelievable passer of the ball from the midfield position.
Did you see Locatelli's passes now?
He can do that, but he's also willing to get stuck in and do some defending and and do some of the dirty work that I'm not so convinced that Verratti is going to do on a consistent basis.
Locatelli is so underrated as a tackler, and you don't even look at the Azzurri game. Look at what he's done with Sassuolo. He is such a good tackler of the ball, and like old school Serie A tackling. I mean, it's just beautiful thing to watch, whether you like defense or not. It's just brilliant.
Locatelli is the man of the moment.
Yep.
What he touch is magic. I'm not a big fan of Verratti. Nice player, big qualities, but I have never been a big fan. And especially I'm not a big fan of his consistent 1 yellow card per game. So that in a short tournament, that can be really dangerous at a certain moment. But having Locatelli is fine. Now, are they ready to face a big tournament. I don't know. I'm still doubtful about that, but the qualities are there. Look, for the first time since 1998, there was no Juve player to start.
Yeah, that's crazy.
In the national team, and that's great to see that you have again a lot of young talents. And I have to say that Conte was right on Bastoni, because last year when he was appointed as a trainer of Inter, he said we have Skriniar, De Vrij, and we have Bastoni, the best center backs of the world. On Bastoni, he was already speaking about him, and nobody knew him. The guy is solid. He's good. He's good.
So Colin has a good question. He says he heard Mancini say that Bastoni could be the new Bonucci or Chiellini. What do you think? Giuseppe. Hearing these words by Mancini. I mean, we've seen a lot from Bastoni, and he held his own. I mean, Acerbi is a solid center back. To have Bastoni playing a game like that in two big important games, he did pretty well.
Yeah.
For me, the words of and then I will let you guys decide. But for me, the words of Mancini makes no sense at all. You cannot be or Bonucci or Chiellini, because
two different players.
Total different players.
Different players.
Or you are a man-to-man and you are an aggressive player, or you want one, or you
maybe he meant like permanent starter. Who knows?
Choose one, but that he can be a player with a big future ahead, that can be. But I don't know, because then you're Milanista guys. Romagnoli was always praised to be the next.
Yeah, his trajectory lately has been like this. Lately.
I say is being the best for 1 year. Everyone can do it.
Right?
Can you be the best consistently, season after season after season? But the potential is there. Absolutely, yes.
Well, Frank, before you go real quick, to your point about that, people want to say Virgil van Dijk is the greatest defender of all time. It's like he's had 2 seasons or whatever with Liverpool. I mean, Koulibaly's done for a bigger period, just talking about recently. So, people need to see the whole picture, not just what's the man of the moment right now, like you said. So, sorry, Frank.
No, that's fine. If I put Bastoni, if I'm going to pick one of these guys to compare Bastoni to, it's probably going to be Chiellini. Bonucci as a center back is an excellent passer, good technique, can play a long pass from that position, from a deep lying position. But when you talked about the BBC through the years, the biggest liability defensively out of those 3 was Bonucci. Still is, because when you put him in you put him in a you put him in a 3-back center back system with Barzagli and with Chiellini, you could, you had 2 guys that could cover for him his mistakes. Now you partner him with another center back, and he's a lot more exposed. He loses guys on crosses very frequently, like scary. Where Chiellini's more of your dirty work guy. He's going to go in and win the extra tackle. He knows the positioning. He's willing to cover for you and all of this other stuff. It's kind of like, it's kind of like when Baresi and Costa Curta played together back in the early 90s. Costa Curta even has admitted it through the years. Baresi has bailed my ass out so many times I can't even count. It's the same thing here. Chiellini has often bailed out Bonucci a lot. I don't see Bastoni as a guy that gets exposed defensively. So I probably would put him in the Chiellini category more than I would put him in the Bonucci category for that reason. I think technically he needs to come along a little bit more. He's a presence in the penalty area on set pieces, on corner kicks for scoring, because he's done it for Inter a couple of times already. So I would probably put him closer to Chiellini than I would Bonucci for those reasons. I see John's question about, do you think Locatelli can dislodge anyone among Jorginho, Verratti, or Barella? And we said, yeah, well, we think that he can dislodge Verratti on the performances that he's had here over these last 2 games. I think Barella is turning into one of the best midfielders in Europe right before our eyes. I'm not exaggerating by saying that, just because of what he does for Italy, because he's doing it for Inter too. I think the guy's going to be, and we've been saying it for Richard, you and I have been saying it for weeks, the guy's going to be a beast this year. But yeah, and I agree. Ahmad, I agree. Young, so much to prove. Early to compare him with those guys. I'm just saying, if I'm going to put Bastoni in one camp or the other, I'm going to compare him more to Chiellini than I'm going to compare to Bonucci. Giuseppe, you know both of those guys very well. What do you think?
I agree with you. Look, Bonucci, he would probably not have the same career without Chiellini and Barzagli because they were playing with three, but they were complementary. And that was great because Bonucci is a great defender. Now, you see also last year, for me, he played a really great 2/3 of Serie A last year with De Ligt, because De Ligt is a player that is taking the leadership there. He's the one that presses, he goes high, and he covers the mistakes of Bonucci when he needs to. He started really to be exposed when De Ligt had problems with his shoulder, and it was not aggressive anymore because he was playing a bit more prudent. And then when he was out and you saw the partnership Rugani, Bonucci, that was a disaster because Bonucci is not the leader of the defense. For me, Bonucci is the second man of the defense.
Yeah.
And that's why I see a Bastoni, like you said. I will not repeat, but I agree with you. More a Chiellini than a Bonucci.
Yeah. Well, the one position we really haven't talked about, and it's the striker. The strikers are the attacking three, and I think really if you looked at the game against Bosnia Herzegovina, that was a game where we saw three players. They came out with Insigne, Belotti, and Berardi, and we haven't seen Insigne in a while. Insigne, hands down man of the match for me. I thought he played brilliantly. Belotti really started coming into his own in that game. He got a goal in the game, obviously, and Domenico Berardi, a guy who was on Juve's radar for many years, had all this hype as a young player, and then kind of just disappeared because there's too much pressure. Now he's starting to find that with a great talent at Sassuolo. He had himself a pretty good game, a fantastic goal, a fantastic assist by Locatelli, another Sassuolo player there. So, we're starting to see some of these younger players, and then Insigne. And while, I want to quote one of Giuseppe's videos from today where Tutto Napoli was saying that he played like Messi and Maradona. I was like, no, he had a great game, but he wasn't that great. All right. Insigne had a really fantastic game, I thought, though. And he was really pulling the strings. And the attacking three is not solidified just yet. We're seeing some good stuff. And Belotti, like to Frank's point earlier, these 2 games, he's got a chance to prove it. And he's showing some stuff. He's showing more than we've seen from Immobile. So maybe he's the guy to go going forward. But overall, you like what you got to see from the attackers from the Azzurri. How about you? What about you, Giuseppe?
No, but look, Insigne, his idol was Del Piero. So for me, Insigne is a Juventino in his heart, but he can't say it because he's playing at Napoli. I remember that
he's Napoli fan. He's never going to say he's.
He can't. But as a Napoli fan, you cannot have Del Piero as your idol and not being for Juve. But that being said, guys, he did amazingly well. At a certain moment, there is a long ball, and he take it in a first touch. He take the ball with him. It was something really amazing. Insigne has a lot of qualities. He's great. Now, you cannot compare it because it's Tutto Napoli. It's part of the culture. It makes sense. But you cannot compare it to Maradona and Messi. That's something really exaggerated.
Yeah.
But no, Insigne deserved to start for Italy. Great player, great talent, unpredictable. He can play with left and right, so he deserves. What I saw of Berardi yesterday was really great as well. It's not a mystery that Locatelli at a certain moment found Berardi. They know each other. They play in the same club. So we are good, and we have a lot of players there. Even Bernardeschi can play with them because
he hit the post in this game, in that game, right? So he played pretty well.
So he didn't play really long, but no, we have a lot of options. Just the number 9 that I'm still not 100% sure that can cause us a problem, because if you are playing versus Bosnia, it's one thing. If you are playing versus Spain, even Germany that lost 6-0, crazy game. But if you are playing versus France and so on, you don't have that many chances. You cannot miss. You have to be a killer. So let's see.
Yeah.
I would drop this mic, but it's an expensive mic because I have been screaming for months for Berardi to start and to play in this Italy team on the right side of that front three, because they tried. Chiesa just does not fit in this setup. And I think it's been proven a handful of times. Bernardeschi is motivated when he puts on the Italy shirt, and we've talked about that. But I just feel like functionally that Berardi would be the best fit for this setup in this 4-3-3 that Mancini is rolling out. And I am so happy that he came on as a substitute against Poland and scored, and that he played a very prominent role in this game against Bosnia-Herzegovina and scored a wonderful goal. It's like I'm going to do a victory lap for this one because I've been on this podcast screaming about it for weeks. Yep. Can we give Berardi a shot in that position and in that role? Now to your point, it's Poland, it's Bosnia-Herzegovina, but you draw these teams at the Euros or at the World Cup, you still got to beat them.
Absolutely.
So
before Giuseppe jumps in, when the hell did you switch your shirt to the Azzurri kit? I mean, it's a beautiful kit, but this guy says, I'm not wearing anything neutral. All of a sudden, boom, he's got the Azzurri shirt.
I know
I'm drinking, but damn, I missed it.
I feel left out. I feel like I should have my Italy shirt on.
At a certain moment, when we stopped talking about Juve and we started with Italy, I said, okay, now I have to be part of the family.
Well, that's right.
My body shape and with how this shirt would, because this is the old Euro 2000 shirt.
2000.
With my body shape and with how this shirt would fit on me, all of our chat would leave.
Yeah.
So we'll just leave it.
If you're not Totti, don't wear it, right? Yeah. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt with that, but I was like, "What the hell? You just switched shirt?" And I just noticed it now. I'm drinking too much.
If you speak about Italy, I have to represent it.
So size up. Let's put a post. Let's put under the Italy talk. Size up. I mean, semifinals now. Belgium, Spain, France. Is it determined who Italy play?
Not yet. In the 3rd of December, I believe.
You do a draw. Okay. I would imagine. I mean, 3 great opponents. I mean, and this is a great opportunity, a great situation to see where I'm just looking forward, because this is a great measuring stick for Mancini's project with the 22 match unbeaten run. All 3 of these teams are going to provide problems. I still think I would want to get Spain first out of the 3. They beat a Germany team 6-0, but it was a Germany team that was shockingly unorganized by their standards. I mean, when I looked at that game and I saw Germany's lineup, and I said, I actually like Germany in that game because I like their front 3, and I liked how they could counter with Sané and Gnabry, and they just never got the opportunity to do it because Spain put so much pressure on them, and the defenders for Germany were just all over the place. It was just not Germany-like. And because I watched Spain before when they were all over Switzerland and they couldn't score in the run of play, until late, in the run of play. And my gosh, Sergio Ramos missed 2 penalties in that game. I mean, Jan Sommer, Richard, you see him in Bundesliga. He's not that good. All right. He's all right.
He's all right.
So I prefer Spain. They're not the Spain of 10 years ago, and they're flawed. And I think that that's probably the team that I would be most interested in seeing. The team I probably would be least interested in seeing in the semifinals is France, just because of how deep they are. I mean, they could throw any 11 at us and feel good about it. Belgium have so much talent, but there's a point where their depth cuts off. So I'm ranking in priority for semifinals. If we get Spain, we should be happy. If we get Belgium, okay, beatable, but it's going to be a struggle. If we get France, there's way too much quality. It's going to be a problem. I mean, Giuseppe, where do you weigh in on the 3 possible opponents we could play in the semis?
The factor that I take is that it's crazy enough. We will first play Euro 2021. And then we will play the semifinal, the final 4.
It's so confusing.
It's really confusing. So I believe that if Italy is able to have a really beautiful performance in the Euro, that will help them to have a lot of confidence and look in the eyes of teams like Belgium, France, Spain with less fear or to give them too much respect. You know what I mean? If we finish in the semifinals of the Euro, I believe that's a big boost of confidence to play a few months later, actually, to those teams. So that will be a big factor. But then in the ranking at today, because it's really far away, it's in October that we will play those games. At today, I believe the ranking is totally correct. And to answer the question of Harjot, who's asking who will you support, I'm 100% Italy fan, especially because I live in Belgium. All my life, people said Italian. So I'm anti-Belgium team. So 2000% Italy.
Nice.
All right. Nice.
Richard,
Very
what do you
good.
think? Who would you prefer to see in the semis?
I'm in agreement with both of you guys. I think it's France are the champions. They're deep. Ahmed said there's 22 starters for France, and there's arguably more. Honestly, how much talent that country has. So that's the last team I want to play because they have the confidence already for winning the World Cup, and there's no reason not to believe in them. So there's still other teams. Other teams are not quite where they want to be. Spain's not the Spain of old. Belgium has not reached their potential yet. And so, I agree with you guys 100%. France is definitely the last team I want to play. But, I mean, hey, if you get them, you got to step up and take the challenge. And to prove yourself, if you want to get to where you want to be, the pinnacle, you have to beat the best. So sometimes, hey, you maybe have to face France and show them that you're worth, everything that we hope they are.
Yep. John Kamara is asking, do you believe Italy can win this Euro Nations League? Why not? I mean, I don't. I'm going to pull for them. I'm going to cheer for them. I think that France is probably the favorite out of all of these, even though they haven't. It's almost like they've kind of sleepwalked through this thing. But now that there's a trophy to play for, and with all of the quality that they've got, I mean, when you look at the rosters top to bottom, they're the most talented, and you have to like their chances over the other three teams. But I think that the way that they're all playing and kind of the way they've all approached this competition, Italy has just as good an opportunity as any of these other teams.
Mm.
Yep.
So, and it's 2 games, huh? So everything can happen, huh?
Yep, absolutely. So that's the stuff on Italy. Thoughts on the Azzurri? Go to @Serie Sitdown on Twitter or Instagram with your thoughts. And now, for the moment you've all been waiting for, it's time for Who Won Calcio Twitter.
Yeah, we got a guest to help us with the choices here. And look, we got a Juventino to start it off, and I'll start this one off. So our friend over from the Calcio guys, Giovanni, he says this tweet from the Nazionale says, "Gol Bernardeschi," and then you go to read the comments, and it says, "Domani finisce la pandemia."
Tomorrow the pandemic is over.
Yeah, I mean it's Bernardeschi scoring. I mean anything can happen at this point. So pretty funny there.
So who would we nominate? Would we nominate Giovanni or would we nominate
it'd be,
for that?
No, it would be the actual comment guy, Sangue Amaranto. Okay,
so he would be the guy that's on the board here. Because that's what I was trying to distinguish there. Okay. Yep. Let's see. All right. All right. This one's from Presidente. And I'm just looking at this now. Okay. The registrations to the first online phase of FIFA 21 and Serie A team are now open. Previous skills, the official jersey of the club is waiting for you. And Marcello saying, send tweet in English. However, all the details are written in Italian. Read the fine print. Tutti I partecipanti al draft devono essere di residenza italiana.
Only residents of Italy.
Yeah.
Wait a minute.
Presidente calling out the technical flaws in things, as you would expect him to do. So we got another one from the Calcio guys, huh?
Yeah, another one from the Calcio guys. So their tweet is from, it says, nobody, literally nothing. Donnarumma, forever 21.
I saw that one. It was really funny. Really funny.
Let's see.
Nino's back in the action.
Yeah, Nino at ASR Cordova Sud 1927. As a official AS Roma fan, I am jealous of Claudio Lotito's recent purchase, hoping the Friedkin Group can compete here. It is a Lazio rocket. Funny, there's a U.S. flag on it.
Yeah, right?
Luis Alberto would not be happy again.
No, he would not.
Well, speaking of Luis Alberto,
Here he is.
there he is. The next one from Nino as well. He goes, "Do you believe Claudio Lotito would be happy? He goes, I'll pay you next month." He's like, "Come on, man."
Sitting on a plane. Very nice. Let's see.
So this one was not the one that was nominated. Was, it was okay. It was the White House with the 38, for the Juventus thing. And that was funny, but I thought the comment that came from before was even funnier, and now it's been blocked out by Tony Malais. He says, "Juve has 38 Scudetti," and then there's the Twitter, they've been using for the election, which is the official results have not been cannot be confirmed or something like that. It was, what is it, Frank? What's that line? Oh my goodness, you know what I'm talking about on Twitter? It got blocked out. I can't think of it now, but it says the results of this cannot be verified. That's what it says.
Yes.
That's what it is. So yeah, it says Juve have 38 Scudetti, and it goes, the results cannot be verified. It has a Twitter exclamation or whatever. So that was pretty funny. They must have taken it down, obviously.
Our friend Joseph Fischetti at Joe_Fischetti5. A picture of Claudio Lotito on two cell phones. One cell phone saying Immobile is positive, the other cell phone saying Immobile is negative.
Frank, you were nominated. It says you tweeted out, it says something like, "Facts. I seriously don't give a fuck about your journey, story, or discovery. Tell me how to make a dish." That's not calcio related, but I guess it was pretty funny. It's pretty funny.
Yeah, Art Morelli nominated me for that. I have the biggest aggravations when I'm trying to look for recipes to make dinners for my family and stuff like that. If you go online, you have you get people writing blogs, and they got all this other stuff, and what they do. I'll just try to, because I've got one that's. Bear with me.
Well, while you find that, I'm gonna read the next one because Giuseppe, you're gonna have to cover yours on this one. But this is from Roma Club DC, and it's about some guy on TikTok posting a video, and he's looking through the map of Italy, and you're like, "What the hell is he doing?" Let me see if I blow this up.
I think I saw that one. That's nice.
Yeah. And if you fast forward to the end, it's right there.
Yeah.
Turn away.
I saw that one. It's funny.
Yeah, I didn't know what to expect. I was like, "What am I watching here?" And then I saw that. Like, okay, I get it.
Okay, basically, I have here. I saved this. It's a recipe for banana oatmeal pancakes. My wife is trying to be gluten free, and we try to make a nice breakfast in the morning. So we make these banana oatmeal pancakes because they're totally gluten free. But anyway, it's at least 2 minutes of scrolling down before you finally get to the ingredients and how to make the damn thing. And I'll just read to you some things of what he's saying. And he goes, "All right, I love to grocery shop. Anyone else out there thoroughly enjoy perusing the aisles of the grocery store? No, I fucking hate it. All right, and now I've got to read this when I'm trying to figure out how to make some pancakes for my family." And he goes, "When we were looking for a house to buy after moving from Texas back to Arizona, a huge prerequisite for me was to have a Fry's grocery store close by." This is too specific, and I don't care. All right. That may sound crazy, but as much as I cook, I didn't want my favorite grocery store very far away. So this guy has basically picked where he's going to live out his days based on where his favorite grocery store is. That's the first problem. But still, I'm stupid.
You're sitting here trying to cook a 5-minute meal, and it takes you 4 hours because you got to read through the freaking comments about how his life is and journey is.
Right. And I'm still stupid enough to scroll down and try to figure out how to make the damn things anyway because my kids are hungry. All right. I didn't want my favorite We luckily found a house right down the street from a Fry's marketplace. So I am one happy girl. Oh, I'm sorry. It's a girl. If you ever need me, I am probably there. Oh, I'm going to go and find this Fry's and have a conversation with this woman and say next time. And a few years ago, then she's got to go into talking about how Fry's remodeled their store and put in a natural section. And it's like you get to the point and you're like, for fuck's sake, just tell me the damn recipe.
And then you realize there's no recipe. Then I bought it online. I got a delivery.
Yeah. I'm scrolling through this, waiting for the line that says, "You've been punked. There really is no recipe. I just wanted to waste your time." So, yeah, that's what you put up with.
Sorry. Who won Calcio Twitter? I'll tell you who mine is right away. And that's going to be Bernardeschi. Well, he scored a goal, but it was from Sangue Amaranto. He says, "Domani finisce la pandemia." So tomorrow finishes the pandemic. Bernardeschi scores. So that's my winner.
I'm with you there. I think that was the funniest. I think that was the funniest one for sure.
The Luis Alberto one was pretty funny, but I like that one. What about you, Giuseppe?
I love the second one the most, but I don't remember which one it was. The second one you showed. Oh, I totally forgot.
Presidente.
Was it the Forever 21? Donnarumma Forever 21?
Yeah, it was the third one, the Forever 21.
Oh, Forever 21. Okay, yeah.
Donnarumma. Yeah, this one I really loved.
Okay. So we have two winners. We have the Calcio guys. Congratulations. You've won Calcio Twitter, according to our guest, Giuseppe. And Sangue Amaranto, congratulations on your comment to Bernardeschi scoring. We're going to have to dig that up to retweet it, Richard. I'm going to have you do that.
Oh, that works. I'm
going to be too busy. I'm going to be too busy reading people's stories before I can get to recipe. So, all right. So yeah, Sangue Amaranto is a winner of Calcio Twitter, and then also the Calcio guys. That's their first win, I think.
Yeah, and as a team, yes. As a team, yes. Usually individually they've won, but yeah, good for them.
So anyway, all right. So that was who won Calcio Twitter. Start setting up the nominees for next week's episode of Serie A Sit Down, because it's going to be right around the corner. At Serie A Sit Down, hashtag who won Calcio Twitter. And with that, we'll put a bow on this edition of Serie A Sit Down. And as we do with a guest on Serie A Sit Down, Giuseppe, the floor is yours. Anything you want to shamelessly plug to our listeners, go ahead.
Not a lot. I just want to say that I had 1 hour 45 of real fun. Really nice, because most of the time on my own channel, I'm the one that leads, so I know how difficult it is. It is not easy to lead, to read the comments, to interact with people, to try to follow some questions. It's not easy. Also to give the same time to speak to everyone. So I really wanted to praise the work that you are doing. I'm a big fan. I will hopefully I'm able to travel again so that I can listen to all your podcasts, because unfortunately you are not that beautiful. So I prefer to listen to you.
Fair enough.
Jokes aside, I really love it. And for me, as a Juve fan, it's important to be updated with all the other teams as well, because I don't have the time, with the work, with family, with the channel. It's impossible to keep and see all the games. So I'm super happy to have channels like yours on YouTube or a podcast where where you can have all the information that you need, so that you know what you are speaking of. So thank you for the work you are doing, and again, amazing time. And for the people in the chat that are new, please subscribe to this channel, guys, because they are doing fantastic work.
Means a lot to us, Giuseppe. Thank you for your kind words, Richard.
Yeah, I saw he was getting choked up in his own words about us. So thank you, thank you about that. Yeah, I know you can always obviously follow me anywhere at r_KHARMAN. But yeah, check out our YouTube page. We're gonna try to put up some videos about player profiles, team profiles, and some other fun stuff out there for not just about the podcast. So yeah, definitely check that out. And yeah, thank you for all the new listeners. Please definitely subscribe. We enjoy chatting with you on live here. It's always fun to get the live chats, and especially with new people and interaction going back and forth. So thank you for that.
Yeah, we had a lot of new people, a lot of new names in the chat that I didn't recognize. Thank you so much for joining us. And please subscribe to our channel. Please drop a like on the video if you enjoyed what you saw. I am at FTC_21, as you can see here on my screen. Thank you, Aman. Look forward to having you on in the chat for future podcasts. At Serie A Sit Down on Twitter, Instagram. That's where you can find us on social media. We're also on Facebook. Serie A Sit Down. We have our own channel on Apple Podcasts. We have our own channel on SoundCloud. You can find us on Stitcher, iHeartRadio, Spotify, just about anywhere. There's Serie A Sit Down. You can, or anywhere there's podcasts, you can find Serie A Sit Down. Another plug, I will be back on Onside Radio tomorrow at 2 p.m. Eastern with Alex Dono to talk Serie A and help preview the weekend ahead, including that big one between Napoli and Milan. So do check that out. Also, Richard and I will be doing a hostile takeover of the Calcio Connection tomorrow
right.
with Jerry Mancini. Is that going to be on YouTube as well?
Sure, why not? Why not? We're taking over everything, whatever.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, we're gonna with Alex having to do some work with Inter Miami, with MLS. We are stepping in and working with Jerry to do that podcast tomorrow evening. So we'll get, if you follow us at Serie Sitdown on Twitter, we will drop the information on that and hope you can join us.
And all of our listeners on here who are new to Giuseppe, go follow him. I mean, it's great content.
Yeah.
Whether you're a Juventino fan or not, it doesn't matter. He puts out great content, so please give him a follow. Just Juve.
Yep, at GJustjuve on Twitter. Yeah, please give him a follow. Excellent stuff. And so I think that covers it all. Thank you all for joining us. Richard and I will be back next week to recap everything that happened here at the weekend, get you ready for the Champions League and Europa League games. So, Giuseppe, let's do this again sometime soon.
Absolutely, yes, with a big pleasure.
Grazie mille.
Grazie mille. And for Richard and Frank, and as always, make sure you tell your paisans about us. Ciao.